Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a collage. Of course, you know how to make a collage, but watching someone else's process sometimes gives you different ideas. Collage, the word comes from French. It means to glue. And if you look at your glue stick, it'll say colle on it somewhere. So that means glue, collage. I sketched this out really rough with a Sharpie in my sketchbook. It was from a photo on our scavenger hunt. It's of tree bark. And you might remember that tree bark where it had lighter shapes on a darker bark background. Once I've got that roughly drawn in my sketchbook, I'm going to take a bit of tracing paper. And I like to do this so that I know what shapes I'm looking for. Because collage is a layered process, I want to start with the bottom of my background first. And as soon as I put that down, this picture of a field, I can't see my shapes anymore. So by having a tracing of the shapes that I'm going to look for, it reminds me, and I'll show you how I use a ballpoint pen, how big the paper I need to find. For example, if I'm trying to get a shape this big, and this is the size of my paper, it's not going to work. This is too small. So it would work for a little shape like that. And what you're going to do is once you have some shapes cut out or some papers chosen, I'll show you how to get your shapes. So you just need a ballpoint pen. And I found this cool picture of some colored shapes and stripes. So I've torn it out of the magazine. And now I'm going to use a ballpoint pen just to trace and go over that tracing. And that's the shape I need. And the pressure from the ballpoint pen actually scores the image. And this ink just rubbed right off. So I can see that shape really easily. Now, if I were to do it on a different type paper, here's a whole bunch of paint that was left over from a session where I was painting, and I just took an old gift card and squeegeed the palette, whatever was left over, onto my paper in the magazine, and I let it dry. Okay, now I can use this for a collage. So I'm gonna cut out a different shape, maybe this big shape here. So I'm gonna lay my tracing paper over. And again, I'm not really careful. I'm not meticulous. That's partly my personality, but also because I know the end product isn't going to be this collage. The collage is merely a study that we'll base a painting on. You might have time to do one collage. You might have time to do more. You should have at least one collage done. Okay, so I've retraced that, and notice my left hand is holding the tracing paper in place, and I can lift this up and see if it went through or not. Might go over it again with pressure. And it doesn't trace a line this time, but what it does is it indents the pressure from the pen and me pushing down, indents the shape into the surface of the paper. And if I don't know if you can see it there, a little bit up there, you can kind of see an indent in the surface. So now I have something to follow. It's much more visible to the naked eye as opposed to through the camera lens. And when I'm cutting, I cut out the shape roughly first. Okay, and then I'm gonna move this out of the way so you can really see what I'm doing here. That's my tracing. I cut, if you're right-handed, your scissors, whatever hand you hold the scissors in, your cutting scissor hand just stays pretty still. But the hand that's holding the paper, it's moving the paper through the blade. And that just makes cutting a whole lot easier. as opposed to trying to move the knife or the blade of the scissors. Keep your knife and your elbow pinned to your side that has the scissors. Just pin your elbow in and then move the paper around. And that is roughly the shape that I traced out. Not perfect, as I said, but that's okay. So let's see my background. And that would live about there. Again, I'm not too picky about where it's going. Now, because we are thinking about a painting, we also want to think about color and what colors we want to be able to mix. You can change your colors for your painting later, but if you think about this as a finished composition for a painting, the colors in your planning, that would be helpful now, because it takes away some of the thinking later. So I've pre-cut out these shapes already. So I'm just going to place some of them around and show you a couple different ideas. This one could go like that, or it could go like that, because often the papers are double-sided, right? So that's kind of neat. This shape can go there, there. Oh, I think this one's meant to be up there. And this guy like that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm missing this little shape. And this feels a bit big, so I'm going to trim it. But I like the yellow, so I'm going to just trim it smaller. Okay, so there we go. I don't really like this piece now that I see it with the rest of them. So you might end up with options, right? And I think I'll go with that one. Picture of chairs in a row. I could also put it on a white background to make it pop out a bit. So you can think about all those different ideas as you go. And you might want to turn it and see how it looks this way. Once you're happy with it, then you start gluing it down. Okay, that's it. Okay, all these pieces are glued down. I edited some pieces out from my original composition. You can see this, some of the shapes shifted. I added these ripped pieces in, and there's no shape here, but I added in a few, this one and this one. Okay, so now I want to look at it from all directions, and how does it feel when I look at it? To me, well, it's not square, so I'm really noticing that it goes from narrow to wider. So this edge is bothering me a little, so I'm going to trim that. And I didn't use a ruler, so of course it's not going to be perfect. This piece just jumped out off the paper. Wonder where it would like to live, if I need it or not, I'm not sure. But then I want you to kind of rotate. So I see red here. My eye is really drawn here. It's the most saturated, meaning it's the brightest. And I might need some more bright colors like that. So I don't have any more in the original piece, but maybe in the scraps. So I'm just going to look. Yep, there's some scraps left of that color. And let's see if I can use it anywhere else. Kind of like this square edge. So I'm going to see what I can do with this. This maroon stripe is talking to this angle here. We have a right angle, and then we have this angle, which is like a 45-degree angle. And there's something kind of interesting about those. on the same surface. I'm going to turn it this way and see what I think about here. So you're thinking critically. And that's kind of what artists and designers do, is they are constantly thinking critically before they commit. It's making me not like this piece. I'm going to take it off. I don't think this color is working, actually. It's very problematic. It's the only green piece, and so for me, it wasn't really feeling like it belonged. I think this piece belongs more. It's more unified when things match. So I'm going to add that in. Okay. I like this little sliver of black. This is interesting. I might need some more of this gray, black and white photo. Again, sort of scrounging around. Okay, there's a little piece I found. Where could it live? Maybe here. Okay. I think this might be it. So if that's it, then it's done, and I don't need that piece. Any little bits you don't want, you can recycle, or if you want to keep them for later, like this piece I kind of want to keep, I'm going to go to the back of my sketchbook and put it in the pouch I made for later. And then this piece, I've got my sketch there, but I think I'll just glue this on a fresh, clean background just to really, I'm still not decided on that piece. So I'm gonna glue this down now so I don't lose it. And that's kind of it. And then the next step will be starting to talk about color theory and picking out some of the colors in here and trying to match them quite accurately. Like this yellow, if I want to fill it in, and this red, I'm going to pull that out just like you would in your digital toolbox in Procreate or Photoshop. You would take like the eyedropper and pick up that color, and it would be part of your palette. So we're going to learn how to mix those with real paint. Stay tuned.